Jerry Bruckheimer is here. He has produced many blockbusters, including Flashdance, Top Gun, The Rock, and Pearl Harbor. In total, his films have made $12.5 billion, more than any other producer in Hollywood history. In recent years, he's extended his golden touch to television with the hit shows CSI, CSI Miami, and Without a Trace. Here's a brief look at his career.
How much would you have charged me?
As what, a translator or a guide?
No. Just one.
Now, you've made a mistake. I don't do that.
You don't, huh? I know what I see, too. I see a cake.
Hey, Maverick! Yeah? You hear about ice? What's that? You want another one? Really? Yeah. I feel the need for speed. Ow!
I'm telling you to get back. If you don't get back, I'm gonna blow your brains out.
Please, move and I'll kill you.
Don't move! Turn over!
Way to go, Rosewood. You're some kind of cop, you know that?
Let's get one thing straight, okay? From now on, the only person who yells is me. Why? Because I have a gun, okay? People with guns can do whatever they want. Married people without guns, for instance, you, do not get to yell. Why? No guns!
You better fucking win, that's all I know. You better win. You better win. Now that's how you're supposed to drive.
You've been around a lot of corpses. Is that normal?
Well, the feet thing?
Yeah, the feet thing.
Yeah, that happens.
I'm having kind of a hard time concentrating. Can you do something about it?
Like what? Kill him again?
You're NASA, for crying out loud. You put a man on the moon. You're geniuses. You're the guys that think his up. I'm sure you got a team of men sitting around somewhere right now just thinking up and somebody backing them up. You telling me you have a backup plan? That these 8 Boy Scouts right here, that is the world's hope? That's what you're telling me?
Parents, are they here? Where are they?
That's my mother.
Take a good look at her. Because once you get on that bus, you ain't got no mama no more. You got your brothers on the team, and you got your daddy. Now, you know who your daddy is, don't you?
December 7th, 1941. A date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by the Empire of Japan.
This summer, he has 2 new movies, Bad Boys 2, starring Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, and Pirates of the Caribbean, starring Johnny Depp. It is Disney's first PG-13 rated film, and here is the trailer.
Here they come.
Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl.
I may have deserved that.
I am pleased to welcome Jerry Bruckheimer back to this table. Let me just talk about this movie, and then I want to talk about television as well. How'd you get Johnny Depp first?
Yeah, I flew to France twice.
Right.
Once I had dinner with his lawyer and himself, and we chatted about what I wanted him to do, a couple movies, and then came back again, and he was in Cannes. He drove up from Saint-Tropez, where he lives, and we chatted, had about a 3 or 4 hour lunch, and I tried to convince him to do Pirates of the Caribbean.
When you were making a sell, tell me what you sell. I mean, you've got the project itself. You start there, and why you think it'll be appealing, and why you think the project needs a particular person.
Right.
How much of you is selling Jerry Bruckheimer?
I'm always selling. I mean, that's what you do. You're always selling a studio on trying to make a movie. You're selling a director on trying to direct a movie for you. You're selling a writer on trying to do a project for you. And you're selling actors to do your movies.
Okay, those three I understand.
Right.
But they're all the same. It's the same kind of pitch. You know, this is a great story for you. But you're also selling you, in a sense, and what you have done. And what is it you sell? I mean, you say to them, look, what?
I don't say any of it. It's all there. In other words, they know the movies I've made.
Right.
They know the success
They know that you
I've
have
had.
a sense of the pulse of an audience.
Yeah, I just make what I like.
Right.
I don't know what you like. I don't know what the audience likes. I just love movies. I went to see Terminator. Had a ball. Had my hand in my popcorn, watched Arnold Schwarzenegger being Arnold, and just laughed and applauded with the rest of the audience. So
did you go to a theater or to a screening?
I went to a theater. I went over on, I think it was 13th and Broadway, and watched it and just had
so
fun.
Bruckheimer was sitting there with the rest of people watching Terminator 3.
11:40 show.
Is that right?
I was right there and having a ball.
Yeah. So, but tell me why $12.5 billion is a rather impressive number in terms of putting them in the seats. What is it you have?
I'm one of them.
Yeah.
I'm sitting right there with the audience, and I guess I have the same emotion they do for now.
Okay, but there are a lot of people who could walk in, Jerry, and say, I'm one of you, and I have the same instincts you do, and they haven't made $12.5 billion worth of theater tickets.
You got to go with your gut. You got to go with what you believe in.
Yeah.
You know, other producers I talk to, other actors I talk to, well, the audience wants this, the audience wants that. I saw this movie, the studio. I don't listen to that. I listen to what I like. And what I liked in Terminator, and what I liked in Pirates of the Caribbean. And right now I'm in sync with the audience, or have been for a while.
So Pirates of the Caribbean. You know, why are you making this movie?
Well, Disney came to me with the screenplay.
Oh,
and they said,
so
we'd
Disney
like
had
you to produce this movie. And I said, I don't know how to make this movie. I really don't. What you have on the page, I don't understand. I brought in two writers that wrote Shrek, Elliot and Rossio. They came up with this idea of cursed pirates. I said, that I understand. That I want to go see. A conventional pirate movie doesn't interest me.
What's a cursed pirate?
These pirates turn into skeletons in the moonlight.
Right. So the theme of the
they stole a treasure that was cursed.
Right.
And it's unusual for a pirate movie that's a treasure movie. They have to return the treasure to alleviate the curse.
Right.
So it's fresh. It's different. And then I wanted Johnny Depp, because Johnny Depp takes you away from that Disney label. His body of work is Edward Scissorhands, it's Donnie Brasco, it's Chocolat, it's all these interesting, wonderful movies that he's made that are against the Hollywood grain. It doesn't say, it's not for your little sister, it's not for your 5-year-old or 4-year-old brother. This is a movie it's PG-13, so it ranges from 13 to 80, but really, if it was a PG-10, it would be PG-10.
And you've got Bad Boys 2 coming up.
Right, which is the opposite. That's a hard R.
That's a hard R.
Really hard R.
With Will Smith and Martin Lawrence.
That's right.
Now, is that directed to an urban audience, or will that play everywhere?
We hope it plays everywhere. I mean, the urban demographics are through the roof. I mean, it's like 90% want to see this movie, but
90% of an urban audience
wants to see this movie. But it's hitting it just about every quadrant, except maybe older females, which I will eventually get.
Does Martin Lawrence have as much appeal as Will Smith?
I think so, because he's hysterical.
I know he is.
Funny in this movie.
He's a great guest, too.
Will Smith is sexy, and he's a wonderful actor, and he's a wonderful comedian, so you have that, and then you pin him with Martin. Plus, what happened the first one wasn't a huge success. It did $65 million here. It did maybe $140 worldwide, which is not bad for a $20 million movie. But what happened to it is the DVD has been selling through the roof, and the video cassettes. So we have this enormous built-in audience that didn't go to the theaters, but bought the DVDs.
Does the fact that DVDs play such a prominent role today influence the way you think about a movie?
Not at all. I think about the audience, how to get people in the seats, which is what I like to do. What gets me to the theater? I open the newspaper and I said, what's playing? What excites me? What do I want to go see? Yeah. That was the movie I wanted to go see. I do the same thing when I read a screenplay. Now, if I opened the newspaper and saw that this movie, Pirates of the Caribbean, about cursed pirates, was playing, I'd go see that movie on that Friday night or Thursday night, whatever it is.
Now, everybody has their own taste. Tell me a movie that you like that I'd be surprised about.
Good Will Hunting.
That's a long time ago.
Let's see, recently?
Yeah. I like Good Will Hunting, too. It was great.
I can't think of a picture recently that would be a surprise. Well, My Big Fat Greek Wedding I loved, so that was fairly recent, which is completely opposite of the movies I've made.
A lot of people come in here and complain about the movie business. You know?
Right.
They have too much big blockbusters, and if they don't do well, and geared up on Friday night, and that's really not good for the business. Do you have any complaints about the business?
Not at all. The business has been phenomenal to me. I mean,
you're not the guy to complain.
No, I mean,
No,
look, do we spend a lot of money in movies? Yes.
Yeah.
Is there inflation involved? Yes.
Yeah.
But movies perform. I mean, even though this summer is down a little bit from
good
last
movies
summer.
being squeezed out or not?
Not really. Good movies find an audience. My Big Fat Greek Wedding, a little tiny movie, started in little
Yeah,
art
that's true,
theaters, did $200 million.
Did well with Tom Hanks and Rita, too.
Well, sure, but still, it's a good movie, and that's why people go to see it. They look for entertainment. They want to be entertained. They say, entertain me, make me laugh, make me cry. That's what we try to do.
You were making a lot of movies. Then you turned to television. Why did you do that?
Television gave me a lot. It really did. When I grew up, I was glued to that TV. That was my entertainment. I grew up in Detroit. My house was always silent. My mother never had the radio on. There was nothing ever going on except me coming home and watching television. I loved watching Combat and Wanted Dead or Alive and Bonanza and all those wonderful shows. I want to kind of give that back. And I watched all these wonderful producers, you know, Dick Wolf and all these different guys who are making wonderful television.
Dick Wolf is especially.
Yeah, and I said, I can do that. I can try to do that anyway. So we started with CSI, and CSI became a huge success.
Yeah, but you did it by calling on a lot of the people who had helped you make movies and brought them into television so that you gave a different look and feeling to the television you did.
That's correct. I drew on all the talent, my editors, my music editors, a lot of actors that I wanted to work with in features and couldn't work with them, directors that I wanted to work with and sometimes couldn't work with them, but they all came out of the feature world. So what Anthony Zuiker created, CSI, said, we make feature television.
Yeah, you do, in a sense. I mean, you're making good story, doing good storytelling. You got great actors. You know, I mean, the one person that I want on this show that we have not had, and he wants to do it, is Peterson.
He's a wonderful actor.
I want him sitting where you are.
Just got married. He's a very happy man.
Yeah.
Beautiful young bride.
And it also, it's a tribute, and now I work for him, so I have to be careful about how I say this, but it's a tribute to Les Moonves, who had his sight on William Peterson for a while before he found
the right vehicle.
Yeah.
We did the same thing with Anthony LaPaglia, who's in Without a Trace, a wonderful actor, wonderful actor. But it takes a lot of convincing. Again, I'm selling to these actors to say, come with us, we're going to take care of you, we're going to make you look good, we're going to surround you with real talented people, and we have a good shot of having success. And I'll never lie to you. I'll tell you the truth, no matter what happens.
You know what he said about you, too? He said, basically, he said two things about you, Paglia did. He said, number one is that he'll tell you the truth. And the second thing, he'll always answer your phone calls. Right. Now, what is wrong with you guys in Hollywood that you don't answer people's phone calls?
I don't get it.
I don't either.
I return every single phone call.
That's what he said. That they somehow think that they've got to have 7 people place phone calls for them, and then that if they immediately answer, it shows you that they're not busy enough.
No, I believe communication is the key to what I do. I communicate all the time. It's a big part of my success is being able to communicate.
And being able to make people trust you, or get people to trust you.
That's right.
You are going to do everything within your power to give them a support system that will allow them to be as good as they can be.
That's our theory. It really is. We try to build a cocoon around our directors and our actors and the people we work with. And we try not to let anybody enter that cocoon that will give them negative energy. We try to give them positive energy all the time so they can be as creative as possible. That's it. We don't want them to be upset about their trailer or upset about the outside world, what's happening to them. When they come to work for us, they know that they're going to have a good time.
You know what's interesting, too, in terms of television? You got David Chase working in television. You got you working in television. I mean, the list is longer than that now. More and more, there are people at work in television who are doing and who are doing it more regularly, and who are doing it with greater style and skill than you see in lots of other media.
See, I don't look at television as it's second to features.
Right.
I don't think it is a stepsister to feature.
I don't think it is in more either.
But I see it as real strong entertainment.
A lot of smart people were able to prove that it was that way.
And we take care in every area, from the cinematographer to the production designer. They're carefully cast for each show. It's not just who's available, hire them. It's, we interview everybody. We make sure we have the best.
Victor, tell me about is it Victoria Guerin?
Veronica.
Veronica Guerin.
Veronica Guerin.
Tell me about that project.
That is a story about this journalist who was murdered in Ireland. for her reporting about these gangsters that were importing drugs. And nobody was paying attention. Kids were dying. They had 5 kids from one family die, overdoses of heroin. She went to these neighborhoods. She saw what was going on, and she started writing about it. But the libel laws in Ireland at the time were so strict that she could never use their names. So she had to come up with these pseudonyms for them, like the general and the monk. But the community knew who these people were, and she put so much pressure on various criminals that they killed her. They told her to stop writing. They threatened her first verbally, then they shot her. That didn't stop her. She kept going until they killed her. But her courage changed the laws in Ireland.
The trigger people are in prison?
Yeah, the lead man is still in prison. The lead guy who ordered the murder is in prison.
So how are you going to find the balance between movies and television and all these other projects?
I have great people working with me. It's like, you know, you see I'm sitting here, I have people on the dubbing stage trying to get Bad Boys 2 finished as we speak, and the director is coloring the movie right now. So when you hire great people, they make you look good, and that's why I have great people working with me. You know, part of my talent is knowing talent, is picking the right people to work with us. And I keep them together. I've had the same post-production people, I guess, for 5 or 6 years, and the same music people I've been using over and you pay them well, and you treat them right. And it's the work. You know, they get a lot of work, and it's good work, and people go see it. So it makes them feel good when they say they worked on Pirates of the Caribbean.
I think it was Michael Bay who said the great thing about you is that he'll call up, and he is screaming and saying, this is never going to work, and we can never do this movie for this amount of money, and you're out of your mind, and you'll sit there and say, yeah, we'll take care of it.
Right.
It'll work. Believe me, it'll work. I mean, there's that kind of calming. You're like you are now. You just...
Straight ahead.
Straight ahead.
You know what? When you've been doing it as long as I have, you know, whatever problem arises, you'll find a solution. And, you know, when we were making Pearl Harbor, which is, I guess, the most difficult movie I had to get made, just because of the cost of it, and they kept changing management, so the cost kept coming down, and Michael's budget kept going up. So to try to meet what Disney wanted to pay and what Michael wanted to spend was very, very difficult. We arrived at a number, the picture came in at that number, and Michael got everything he wanted in the movie, even when the budget was $200 million, and they didn't give him $200 million to make it.
All the fireworks that he wanted.
He got everything in there.
All the ships that he had to sink and all that stuff.
Once you go through that, you know you can figure anything out.
Who's the biggest star in Hollywood today?
I would say between Tom Cruise and Tom Hanks.
The
two Toms are the 2 biggest stars in Hollywood.
And
by far.
Women?
And then women, it's Julia Roberts, you know, hands down. Enormous star. Whatever she touches is usually a huge success. And well deserved. She's a really talented woman.
But does she work hard enough? Is she making enough movies?
That's up to her, you know. It comes down to the material, you know. If you have material that you believe in, you do it. You know, actors, it's really tough to become a character.
I don't mean hard enough, but I mean, you know.
But it's tough to become a character. They prepare it for 3 months. They usually shoot it for 3 or 4 months. So they're involved in this thing for 8, 9 months. And it's hard. It takes a lot of energy to be somebody else because you always have to be on. They have to be on 8 hours a day. You're talking about energy. It takes enormous amount of energy to be an actor and have that focus and concentration, take after take. Some directors go 15, 20 takes.
I think he is a remarkable young man, Tom Cruise.
He is.
I mean, he was here, sat in the chair, you're
right.
him. But, I mean, he's interested in lots of things. I mean, I think you told me that when you made Days of Thunder, this guy could be a stock car driver if he wanted to.
No, he flew planes. He flies planes. He flies jets. He drove cars. He was an amazing driver when he drove. He could have entered the NASCAR.
That's what you told me, yeah.
Easily. But what's great about Tom is he's so driven, and he has this will to win. He's so competitive, and he wants to win in the worst way. We were doing Days of Thunder. He'd been working all day. He'd finish 11, 12 o'clock at night. I'd get a call from him at 3 in the morning.
Is that right?
And he'd say, Jerry, I'm going over tomorrow's work. I don't like this. We're not doing it right. So we get the writers on the phone. We'd have them on the set at
3 a.m. in the morning.
At 6 in the morning, we'd have them show up before Tom. We'd have them rewrite the scene and go do it. What person has that kind of conviction after you worked all day to stay up half the night to make sure that your work tomorrow was as good as the work yesterday?
I'm constantly asked about, you see so many people, you know, what the single quality that you notice among those people that have done something remarkably well. And it is just what you just said. It is focus. It is the capacity to work harder than everybody around them, and it is to be demanding about the final product.
That's right. Care about everything. Tom cared about everything. He didn't just care about his character. He cared about everybody's character in the movie. And I find that when they made Bad Boys, the same thing with Will and Martin.
Right.
They were so generous. They would sit, every Sunday we'd go through the week's work, you know, prior to the week. We'd rehearse everything. And Will would come in and say, I found these great lines. I thought of these great lines for Martin. Martin would come in and say, I found, what happens, Will said this. Yeah. That's kind of giving and sharing that makes hit movies.
So what does Jerry Bruckheimer want from all this?
I want to keep entertaining people. I was in the theater, I guess, the other night. We had a big press screening for Pirates.
Right.
And I stood in the back, had my hand in my popcorn, and just watched the people love it. I love when they applaud when Johnny Depp comes on the screen. I love when they applaud at the end of the movie. I love when they laugh. That's my thrill. When you start something from an idea or just a little script, you employ all these people, and then you entertain people, and you get to watch those people being entertained. It's a great thrill of it. It's better than money. It's better than anything else. Not that you give the money back, but I don't do it for that. I certainly have enough. I could live fine the rest of my life. I love watching people being entertained. I love entertaining them on television. Last week we had the 1, and tied for 2, both of our shows were tied for second place, Without a Trace and CSI Miami, and CSI was number 1. That's a great thriller. We're entertaining, tens of millions of people every week.
The Pentagon.
Right.
A lot of people didn't like the idea that you were doing, or not a lot, some reporters wrote about this.
Right.
That you were too cozy with the Pentagon, and you were hollow. I think Dan Rather had some things to say about this too.
Sure.
That in a sense that you would, that it wasn't appropriate for the military.
What we were doing for our TV show, you mean?
Right.
I disagree with him, of course. You look at the young men and young women who sacrifice their families, sacrifice a big part of their life. They're not getting paid a lot of money to protect and the belief in our country, and go overseas and do work in horrendous situations that are very dangerous. You see kids every day getting killed in Iraq, which is a terrible situation. They give it all up because they believe in this country. I believe we should know about them. I believe we should know what they do every day.
Tell their stories.
And how committed they are into what they do. They are what makes this country great.
But is there any risk in terms of what Dan said, the Hollywoodization of the military?
Not really. We're not Hollywoodizing it. We're just telling you what they do. We might add a little music to it and make it look a little sexier than what they actually do. But their lives are portrayed on television the way it really is.
And who, in the end, controlled it? The Pentagon or
no,
the producer?
We did. I mean,
do they have any say-so about?
The only say-so they had is about mentioning names. They didn't want certain names to be mentioned for security reasons, so we only used first names, or we changed their names. That was it.
Yeah. And what happened to that project?
I think it ran 4 or 6 shows, and it ran a little bit too late. I guess ABC didn't believe in it and didn't run it. They ran it against Friends, which is the biggest show on television, and it disappeared.
Do you consider that a failure, or you simply look at life in that you do a lot of things, and some will hit and some will miss, and you just keep moving?
Keep moving. I don't see it as a failure at all, because I thought it was a wonderful show. It's just unfortunate it didn't get the right attention or time slot for enough people to watch it. I think enough people to watch it in a timely manner, because we finished it a lot earlier than they aired it. By the time they aired it, we were gearing up for invading Iraq. Yeah. So it was yesterday's news. Had they aired it early when we did it, I think it would have been a bigger success. But you know what? I'm real proud of the shows, and that's all you can be.
How many top 10 shows is enough for a producer?
I'm thrilled to have 3 right now. So, and we have, I think, 7 shows on the air in the fall. So we're really busy right now.
7 shows coming up.
Yeah, 7 shows.
And how many of those you think will make the cut?
Don't know. Have no idea. Listen, if you'd have told me 3 years ago that CSI would be the #1 show on television, I said, Charlie, you're nuts.
The reason you made CSI was because you love the idea that the old Jack Quincy thing. What was it called? Quincy.
Right.
About Jack Klugman. And you loved the idea, and you wanted to make it contemporary so that it appealed to a young audience, right?
Well, the reason I made the show is Zeiker, who created the show, had such a creative force and had such a strong, unique point of view for that particular show. I wanted to see the show. And what I love is process. I love you taking me into a world, or me taking you in a world that you've never been in before, and show you how it actually works. And he spent so much time with the CSIs. In fact, he was in a situation where he went into a room when there was a dead body. A murder had just been committed. He was out with the police on a ride-along, and he's in the room alone. All of a sudden, he sees somebody come out from under the bed. The killer was still under the bed, and he was in the room with him. So, I mean, that's kind of research. And you see that every week on television. That's why the show's such a success, besides the acting and great writing. But we're taking you inside a world you've never seen before.
But there's also a reason we've somehow become fascinated, both in terms of novels that sell, but also in terms of television shows, with the idea of forensic science.
Well, that all started with Barry Scheck. in the O.J. trial. When you heard all that testimony, that's what excited me, and that's when Zeiker came in at the right time.
So that was the timing for him.
That was what got me excited about it.
Great to see you.
Great to see you, Charlie. It's always fun to be here.
Thank you for joining us. See you next time.